Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of Why Are So Many People Sick Today, episode 3. Now, we're going to be talking about obesity is not a character flaw. Let me say something that might set someone free today. Obesity is not a character flaw. Okay. It is not proof that you are lazy. It is not proof that you don't love yourself. It is not proof that you have no discipline. If shame worked, most people would be lean already. But shame doesn't heal metabolism. Shame doesn't balance hormones. Shame doesn't fix insulin resistance. Shame only makes people hide and stress, and then stress makes the body store. Quick note: today is educational. It's not a personal advice, it's not a medical advice, but it can give clarity to a healthier path forward. Now, for my audience, if you've ever felt judged about your weight or you've judged yourself, I want you to type me in the chat. By the end of this live, you'll understand why the body gains weight even when you are trying. What hormones have to do with it? What slow metabolism actually means, and what compassionate, effective weight loss truly looks like. Okay, what obesity really is. Here's the truth: obesity is a biologically influenced chronic medical condition and not a personality problem, as we think. In fact, mainstream medicine has formally moved in this direction. The American Medical Association recognized obesity as a disease state requiring a range of intervention. And the Obesity Society has published a position statement describing obesity as it's a non-communicable chronic disease reflecting what we see clinically. All right? Relapse, a risk, biological, and long-term management is what has been recommended. Now, personal choices matter, yes, but here is the missing piece. Choices don't happen in a vacuum. They happen inside the body with hormones, stress signals, appetite signals, and metabolic adaptation. Now, I want to talk about the shame trap, and I want you to listen carefully. Why just eat less often fails? Just eat less. Why does it often fail? Now, let's be honest. Eat less, move more isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. When you restrict hard, especially repeatedly, your body can interpret it like famine. So it responds by increasing hunger, cravings, okay? Lowering energy expenditure, making food feel louder in your brain, and making fat loss harder over time. So people say, I lost 10 pounds, then I gained 15 pounds. And then they blame themselves. But your body is doing what it was designed to do: survive. Now, if you've ever lost weight and gained it back, I want you to type in the chat reset. Your body is not your enemy. Your body is only trying to protect you, sometimes with outdated survival settings. So, what matters? Why food quality matters without blaming you is what I want to talk about now. Let me give you a quick science moment that's actually kind of shocking. Researchers admitted people into the NIH Clinical Center and compared an ultra processed diet to an unprocessed diet. And they matched the menu for things like calories and presented macros, sugars, sodiums, and fiber. And here is what they found: the people who ate the ultra processed diet, they naturally ate about 508 more calories per day than the rest who ate the unprocessed foods. And they gained zero point 0.9 kg in that period. But when they switched over to the unprocessed phase, they lost that zero point 0.9 kg. So, what does this mean? So, it isn't about being weak, it's about the food being engineered for you to overconsume. So, if you've ever heard people say, I don't even eat that much, but I can't even lose it, I wanted to type heard. This is because hormones, are the invisible drivers of weight. Now, let's talk about the type of hormones we're talking about. Because once you understand this, you can stop blaming your character and start addressing the signals. Insulin, the storage hormone. We talked a little bit about this last week. Insulin is not bad, it's essential. But when insulin stays high too often, the body is repeatedly told, store energy. We talked a little bit, like we said last week. Now, what tends to keep insulin high? Frequent sugars and starches. When you have a lot of them, you have a spike in sugar. Ultra processed foods, liquid calories, poor sleep, chronic stress, insulin resistance. Now, what is insulin resistance? A little bit again. This is when the cells do not respond well. So the body makes more insulin to do the same job, So your body is not responding well to the insulin that is produced in response to the glucose, then your body makes more. Insulin resistance can make weight loss feel like pushing a car uphill. So, if you struggle with belly fat and cravings and fatigue after a meal, that could be insulin resistance. Now, the next set of hormones are the leptin and ghrelin, which are the fullness versus the hunger signal. Leptin is one of the I'm full signal that we get. It tells us we've had enough. And ghrelin is a hunger signal. And these two can get thrown off when you're sleep deprived and when you're under chronic stress. Now, sleep changes the hunger hormones. And this is one of the simplest explanation for why trying harder can fail when you are exhausted. All right. Now, a clinical trial led by Karin Spiegel found that even short term sleep restriction was linked to lower leptin and higher ghrelin and increased hunger and appetite for calorie dense carbs. Now, the reported leptin dropping a whopping 18% and ghrelin increasing about 28% under restricted sleep conditions. So, if someone is sleeping 4 to 5 hours per night and fighting cravings, it's not lack of discipline. That's biology. If sleep is your struggle, I want you to type sleep, no shame here, in the chart. Now, we're going to talk about metabolism, what it is. We're going to clarify it. Now, metabolism is how your body converts food into energy and how much energy you burn at rest and with activity. It's influenced by the following: muscle mass, sleep, thyroid function, insulin resistance, your stress physiology, medications, and your past dieting history. I don't know how many of us remember that show, The Biggest Loser, and adaptation and metabolic adaptation. So let's look at it. Now, here is the part that makes people feel seen. I want you to listen carefully. Researchers, they followed the contestant from the show The Biggest Loser and measured their resting metabolic rate over time in a long-term follow-up led by Erin Fothergill. And they found that 6 years later, many participants had regained the weight, but their resting metabolic rate still remained suppressed compared to their baseline. They reported resting metabolic rate staying hundreds of calories per day below the baseline on average, along with persistent metabolic adaptation. Now, please, I want you to hear me carefully. This doesn't mean that weight loss is impossible. It means the body adapts. Your body adapts. And so, long term success requires strategy, not shame. So, when people say, my metabolism is messed up, sometimes they're describing a real physiologic adaptation, not making excuses. Okay? Now, there is a set point idea, okay, and why the body defends weight. The body sometimes it does defend weight. I want to explain the concept that helps people to stop blaming themselves. And the idea of a weight set point or the defended range. Now, the body has homeostatic systems, okay? The brain and hormone signals, and they can resist weight loss by increasing hunger and decreasing energy expenditure. And so that doesn't mean you're stuck forever. It means we work with physiology and not against it. So you're going to walk with your body and not against it. Now, if you feel like your body is fighting every effort that you're making, I want you to type fight in the chat. Now, what is the missing ingredient in weight loss? Compassion. Compassion actually improves outcomes. And so we want to talk a little bit about compassion here, because you can't hate your body into health. And so here is another science moment that I want to talk about: the weight stigma. It doesn't motivate anybody into a healthy way or healthy lifestyle. On the contrary, it harms them. A review by Rebecca M. Post summarizes evidence linking weight stigma with maladaptive eating behaviors, reduced physical activities, physiologic stress responses, and barriers to effective care. So, when we shame people, we don't fix obesity. We often increase their stress level, and we make them feel hopeless and make them avoid a lot of things that can be of benefit to them. So, but compassion is not permission to stay stuck. Compassion is a starting point for sustainable change. So, instead of what's wrong with me, what has my body been carrying and what does it need now should be the question. So, we're going to look at the practical steps that work without shame. Let's bring it home. So, here is the roadmap, not perfection. So, we want to talk about the roadmap to progress. Step one: stabilize blood sugar. Have some protein at breakfast. You can pair your carbs with protein and fiber. You want to reduce the amount of liquid sugar that you're consuming. You want to shift towards less processed foods. Remember that NIH study? What ultra processed food does to the body: makes you gain weight, makes you have cravings. You want to start the day with protein, and that calms cravings down for many people. So the eating of carbs, such as bread alone for breakfast, doesn't work. Step two: you want to build muscle to support your metabolism. Step three: you want to do strength training 2 to 3 times a week, even 15 to 20 minutes a day. You want to incorporate daily walking. Last week, we talked about walking after each meal. You want to be consistent with this because muscle is metabolic support. You want to sleep like it really matters because it impacts your hunger hormones. We just saw the data. We just looked at the data. You want to manage stress with things like breathing, prayer, meditation, journaling. You want to set boundaries. You want to adjust your plan so that when you're overwhelmed, you don't quit, but you adapt. Step five: you want to get a proper medical evaluation when needed. Now, depending on the person, they could have thyroid issue, they could have glucose issues, they could have insulin resistance, elevated cholesterol, liver issues, medication review. The goal is to treat the root drivers, not just the willpower. We want to treat what exactly is making obesity to persist. And so let me end where I began. Obesity is not a character flaw. If you have been carrying this shame, I want you to put it down today. Medicine recognizes obesity as a disease process, okay, with biology, hormones, and long term strategy. Your body will start responding to the signals, and the signals can certainly change. And so, if this has helped you today, I want you to type free in the chat. Now, I want to encourage you to please share this with someone who needs to hear this truth with compassion. And if you want a structured medical guided plan, I want you to comment ready and we will share a one-on-one steps with you. Finally, I want to tell you, you are not weak, you are not broken, you are human. All right? And your body can heal with the right support. I'm Dr. Olubomi Balaji, board certified internist located here in Comac, New York. We are very passionate about helping people live their best life now. If you need a one-on-one consultation, please give us a call. 631-486-4834, 631-486-4834. Thank you so much. I will see you in episode 4 next week. Please like, share, and subscribe. Again, don't forget, please send this to anyone that you know that may need this. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, I want you to drop it in the chat and I'll be happy to address them. I'm going to quickly check and see. Yeah, thank you so much. So we are learning, and I'm hoping that we're able to learn one or two things from here and able to incorporate one or two things from here that can help us reset our hormones. Remember, our body, it's like a chemistry lab. And once we treat it right, we'll get the desired result. Thank you once again. I'll see you next week, same time for episode 4.